Nomad-start-only round 2. This one. We have Gustavvinho versus Lowerty here. This is the higher elo bracket. You'll see there are somewhat recent elos in the scoreboard here. I searched that app just a few hours ago. Could still be some changes, but shouldn't be anything too huge. So they're pretty highly rated here. Let me pull up the rules in case someone watching doesn't know the drill here. It's random civ, which will be reversed for the second game, which will be the loser's home map. So here we have Koreans versus Byzantines, which is kind of interesting. You'll have Koreans likely to go into archers because they get the archers armor instantly now. But then on the other hand, we have Lowerty with the Byzantines who has cheap skirms. So maybe scouts, no, maybe archers not that viable after all. But arguably, Koreans would have stronger skirms more quickly than Byzantines as well. So, yeah, best of 3. If the third game happens, then it will be hidden civ, free pick, except from earlier used civilizations. So let's have a look here. Here's the TC spot of Lowerty. Looks like a good one. Woodline, berries, wood source, stone even for defensive towers if needed, which could be sorely needed against Koreans, where Gustavvinho is settling pretty far away, thankfully. Yeah, alright, not too far, but at least they're not next door neighbors here. Gustavvinho finds a woodland as well. I believe they both have docked, as is customary for Nomad as well. So, oh, never mind that. Lowerty hasn't placed the dock yet. It's looking for the perfect dock spot. It makes sense to try and rush up the TC as well, but usually for Nomad, which is the go-to first game map for this tournament, you would dock the shoreline somewhere, preferably near lots of deep fish like in the corners here, but you'll take what you get. Even here would be a decent one. You'll have some deep fish at least. But Lowerty actually not docking here, so that's going to set them behind pretty darn early here, but I think this villager is off the dock now. Finds a board. Okay, goes for the lure first. Wow, Lowerty really doesn't stress this one. No docks up just yet. No fishing ships, but the first one on the way for Gustavvinho should give Gustavvinho the villager lead here pretty soon. Brings in the boar here. Lowerty is certainly planning for some early land aggression then. Not sure what that will be, but Byzantine is certainly a versatile civ with lots of different options here. But the first fishing ship is up. You cannot ignore fishing on Nomad because it's such a great food source to have early on. In any case, let's just fast forward a little bit, see what the game will bring moving on here. It's not too exciting to see the early stages of Nomad, not too much action, but here we go for the dock. Not that late after all, just collecting some more wood before dropping it. Well, from the looks of it, with this kinds of fruit source and wood income, I'd say that Lowerty is going for some early land aggression here. Maybe just a trash rush with Byzantines here, because you have the food, you have the wood, and then you don't want to overextend into the dock because you need the wood for land aggression. But I'm not sure what the plan is here. You are falling behind here, Lowerty, so seems a little bit risky in terms of food. But food income seems consistent, but then there's the actual villager count, which may even out a little bit now, because now Gustavvinho just got housed and had to build a house. Population's suddenly similar here, but more villagers overall for Gustavvinho. See some boar luring here, found a nice spot with some food sources. There's some hunt to be taken as well. Berries right next to Gustavvinho's TC. I actually didn't see that earlier on. So that's certainly a valid food source there. And yeah, actually lots of hunter, 3 patches of Ibex. Both players producing fish, not scouting the shoreline just yet, and Gustavvinho now sending the dock villager back home after having depleted the shorefish here. That provides for some extra nice scouting intel as well. Look at the extra line of sight for Koreans villagers. Comes in handy for Nomad. However, Gustavvinho, I don't think he knows the enemy location unless this is a sheep that was converted. I am surprised, however, to see Lowerty going up first here. And with 30 population at that, Gustavvinho is at 33. Meanwhile, Lowerty is scouting the shoreline-ish and going to try and search for Gustavvinho's dock position here. That's going to be quite far away. They're almost on the exact opposite sides of the maps of each other. So going to take a little bit of time before Lowerty notices where it's at. Not too much difference in the uptimes either, considering that Gustavvinho has 3 more villagers. He is with 5 on gold, 6 on gold actually, no, 5 on gold, soon to be 6. Which would suggest that he wants to go for both, maybe some kind of land gold units here like archers and into the fire galleys on sea, because there's only 1 dock, right? So I'm not going to overcommit into water here, I think, the Koreans player, but rather have more gold. Well, never mind, here's the 2nd dock actually. Lowerty is getting a bit unlucky here, taking the whole long way around to find Gustavvinho's dock. Right hand side, Gustavvinho on the scouting mission as well. We'll be seeing a red fishing ship here very soon. And let's see. No, I don't see any army production just yet. I think Lowerty wants to collect some intel on the actual amount of the fishing ships first to see how much do I need to invest into water here to take a decent fight. And has to be said as well, Byzantines have a bonus for water. Fire ships attack 25% faster, so it would be expected by Lowerty to go into fire galleys here, and then seeing Gustavvinho doing the same. But the investment is larger, it's 2 docks after all for Gustavvinho here. Should mean the possibility to have an edge on the water fighting here until Lowerty can extend into more units on water. No land aggression for the time being, not even the Korean towers here. That's almost a little bit disappointing, but we'll probably see them moving on. Lots of stone around Gustavvinho's starting location here, so certainly an option to go for defensive or offensive towers as well. Fire galley now on the way, firing faster from the Byzantines, and that's going to be to work into Lowerty's favor here once they have a run-in with 1-on-1 here. That should effectively mean that Gustavvinho loses to slower firing rate, and Lowerty also has villagers close to get repairs in here. There we go, fire galley. Looking at numbers, equal numbers of fire galleys, but what's the HP situation here? One very weak one from Lowerty going over here, definitely going to go down to Gustavvinho's here. Might snipe a ship in... Yo, Gustavvinho, what's going on here? Right, that's it. Fire ship down. Even with faster firing rate, couldn't really salvage that one. Let's see, the Byzantines should win here 1-on-1, so that's, but here comes another one, and the water investment overall is larger for Gustavvinho here, but at the expense of Lowerty getting earlier to the castle age here, with less eco invested into water fighting. Only 1 dock, a few efficient ships, and kind of maybe tricking Gustavvinho into overcommitting to water control here. And here's 2 versus 1, and those are, again, faster firing Byzantines galleys. Not sure what Lowerty's plan is here, not pulling this one back for repairs. It is 2-on-1, but risks losing one of them here. And meanwhile, Gustavvinho is chasing some fishing ships here. Okay, Castle Age is in, Lowerty is going into boom mode, 2nd TC, preparing to transition into land economy here, 3rd TC as well. So that's going to extend that villager's numbers, although Gustavvinho has the numbers lead now if he loses the fish at some point. Castle Age does provide a power spike for the water units, so if Lowerty is able to mass up more fire galleys here and get into war galley, the fire ships should handily defeat Koreans here with their faster firing rate and more hit points and everything. Castle Age on the way for Gustavvinho as well, though, and that means he will have access to turtle ships. And I'm sensing that Lowerty might be committing to land eco instead earlier on now and just bail on water, because it will be so tough even as Byzantines with a faster firing rate to fight off the extremely tanky Korean turtle ships is their name, a unique unit. They have 50 attack and lots of hit points, so not easy to take out with, especially not with village galleys. What's your opinion on second dock placement? Yeah, they're really spread out here, but then at least you get more output from the fish. I think Gustavvinho had a plan on investing into water here. I think he knows by now that he has 2 docks, the enemy only has 1. So that could be why he did it. His scouting intel told him that there is in fact only 1 dock here. So I might as well dock on the other side and try and go for some surrounds instead. Because you could send ships from both sides and sort of flank your enemy in here. That could be in the line of thinking. But ideally, yes, you'd have 2 docks closer to each other so you could more easily supply reinforcements. Oh, Korean Knights in the making here. Well, it's a mobile option. They're not the best knights in the game at all. But the mobility will pay off if you can find some stray economy here to hit. But looking at the 3 TCs of Lowerty here and the villager count rapidly increasing, not to mention the Byzantines' cheaper trash in the spearmen as well, shouldn't be a problem for Lowerty to fend off land aggression here, even without knowing that knights will be coming his way. The one and only dock from Lowerty goes down, so that means that Gustavvinho doesn't need to invest into water anymore at all. So here's the defensive castle as well from the Koreans. Protects more stone access here. Only committing 1 villager to building this with some knights to protect. Doesn't feel threatened here at all, Gustavvinho. So it's going to be interesting to see how this game turns out, considering that Gustavvinho has basically endless food source in fish at sea now. Is controlling the water. Comeback's always possible if you drop a cast at the shoreline and drop 4 or 5 docks to get into fast fire ships. In Imperial with Byzantines, of course, you kill off everything here. But for the time being, Lowerty seems to be focusing exclusively on land development and extended economy, and it's paying off with 5 more villagers total here. Gustavvinho with 2 TCs as well, but and is trying for some land aggression now. We'll be needing a lot more knights though to deal some real damage here. Some idle time cost though, 12, 13 idles, and Lowerty not immediately ungarrisoning here, just wants to make sure the danger is away. As the knights will loop back in and maybe try and get some small pick-offs here. Good scouting intel as well. Meanwhile, we see some walls and a defensive castle going up pretty near the shoreline here. But I think the main idea here is to protect this TC and farms and the woodlands here. Nice quick walls again. I think he makes this in time. Knights could break through though, but it's inside within TC range, so no problem there for Lowerty. So let's see Lowerty's reaction on the right hand side here. The knights could still loop in here. Or on the right side here, maybe some quick gates or something to keep them out here, or just garrison again. But it is idle time, but Lowerty has a little bit of a villager lead, so will be less hurt by idle time as well. TC is actually full, so was in danger of losing 1 villager there. Castle is close enough for the villagers to seek refuge though, and 1 knight goes down in the heat of the moment there. So the players are pretty much sharing the map in 2 pieces here. We see the war wagons now in the making for Gustavvinho. I mean, Byzantines still have cheap skirms, and skirmishers might be one of the better options against massive war wagons. So until Gustavvinho can get to some serious numbers here, I'd like to see Lowerty go into a few ranges and just make use of those cheap skirms. Looks like Lowerty is mainly in boom mode though, and wants to extend that economy to justify the further progress of the Castle Age. Should be in a decent spot to reach Imperial Age pretty early as well, because Byzantines have Imperial Age to cost 33% less, so you always have the option of going up earlier. Counterfact! Against Knights. 9 against 10 attack here, and defense for the Knights. I'm not sure about this, but probably also the best army option HP wise here. Spearmen would do decent as well, of course, and yeah, okay. Looks like they're doing nice. Another castle drop from Gustavvinho now, taking some more map control here. dropping barracks as well. I think he has hubs in mind for the knights, or rather the cataphracts of lower here. Defensive tower goes up. That's not gonna go up in time to deny this castle. So now Lowerty will be off 1 TC with lots of farms, woodland and golds here. Will need to expand. Still lots of space to be expanded to the sides though. I've not had success with skirms versus Warwagon. What about the cheap camels? Yeah, that's true. You'd need a significant mass and a +2 defense, but that's probably a decent choice. But I feel like camels with low pierce armor would struggle against war wagons as well. But of course, they're considered cavalry archers, so if you can get close, it should probably be decent. And actually, if you can get to knights, or rather Byzantines, even and paladins, so if you could get to the cavalier in the Imperial Age, you should do decent as well, because the melee armor of the war wagons aren't anything special. It's the pierce armor that hurts. So this TC is completely abandoned. That's gonna go down. That could even be a place for Gustavvinho to place a TC of his own to reclaim some of these farms and get the golds here. That's a lot of free eco to gain there. And it will be protected by the castle anyway, so that's some nice map presence here. And let's look at the ecos here for a moment. Lowerty with lots of wood, but that's the biggest difference here. Otherwise, both players pretty far away from that Imperial Age click. Gustavvinho with 86 villagers has 3 TCs working now, so has been caught up, catching up, and increasing his villager lead here. And lots of Korean knights here now, only missing the attack upgrade. I don't think they get bloodlines, so they'll be staying at 100 HP. And here we see the barracks going up for Lowerty now, making use of all of that wood in the bank. Needs the farm eco to kick in, and then massed pikes should be an easy choice. And with massed pikes, if you can get close to the war wagons as well, I guess you'll take them out, because should be so easy with all these barracks for the Byzantine player to mass pikemen here in the castle age, and there aren't a scary enough number of war wagons just yet. Even though the knights could be running in front with war wagons behind to try and take out the pikes, but the knights are broken in, going to get some serious raids in here. These barracks are taking a little bit too long to get into. Pikeman has been researched now. Heavy plow also in for Lowerty. That's going to make the farms last longer. And Imperial Age, if intended, is not that far away food-wise. It's a good healthy farm eco for Gustavvinho as well, with castles in nice spots here up on the hill. Suggest that the war wagons is the play here to continue, and Gustavvinho actually will be the first player to imp, which makes sense as well. When you're up against Byzantines, you need to kind of rush that Imperial Age, because they have an easier time getting there, having a cheaper click up. There's only 20% difference though, as the knights run away, and Gustavvinho is with a very convincing population lead here. Although the players share the map sort of in two, yet there's more golds and stones to the north here. If you look at the south here, there's a stone here, there's a stone here, and otherwise, when this gold is depleted, Lowerty will be in a pickle in terms of gold, because this one has already been denied by Gustavvinho's castle here. I'm looking at the military numbers as well, which is always worrying to be the one down so much in military. 38 to 12 right now, as more barracks go up, but that's near the shoreline, so if Gustavvinho goes into just a few, if he had just a few war galleys here now, he would maybe be able to delay them, but then there's the castle, of course, so maybe not, after all. Another castle. So far we haven't seen a single Korean guard tower, it's only castles, and certainly reinforcing the theory about full War Wagons play here. Now pikes in the mix as well to deal with, I guess, Byzantine pikes here. A couple of tribes coming out. I'm guessing that's from this castle in the... from multiple castles here actually, but going to keep pushing this side, and eventually he knows about this castle, so eventually going to take that one out as well. 41 to 19 military now. With Imperial info Lowerty, will probably need to try and rush the Halberdier upgrade here. They're both getting it, but Byzantines get better upgrades after all, so that has stronger helps. Korea, Cannon Galleon could bombard most of red space. That's true as well, being so close to the shoreline. If you get to Cannon Galleon, only Cannon Galleon, not elite though, but it's still an option. You have the 13 range, so you'd reach far into the base here. But I think you don't need it at this this stage. Gustavvinho has twice the army of Lowerty and much more healthy eco to support it. Will be able to sustain a lot more in the long run here, unless Lowerty makes a sensational comeback here. Byzantines are a defensive civ, but from the looks of it here, it's going to be tough to fend off the aggression here. As one TC goes down, that's going to cripple the economy even further here. And the village number is 130 to 95 here total. Note how Gustavvinho takes control over the neutral resources here as well. Another castle right next to the gold and some wood lines here. Only this arguably left for Lowerty to expand to for more stone and gold access here. Halb versus Halb, they have roughly similar upgrade, but as Byzantines go, they already have +2 defense and +1 attack, but they are being outnumbered here with War Wagons firing from behind, so War Wagons will be looking at some free kills here. Yeah, now 60 military to 8. I don't see any way back from Lowerty here. Never challenged water again either. So I think we'll be looking at a game 2 and Lowerty's home map here. Looks like a very tough push to handle. Late game Koreans can actually be quite scary, and then with a map like Nomad where there's so much stone and golds, it's so easy to get to those mass war wagons, and even to get to the siege of Koreans, which have some advantages. You see the Mangalan line minimum range reduced, so you'd have fantastic siege onagers as well, and siege onager could actually be justified on Nomad with so much gold. Pop did not looking too healthy indeed. 50 more pop for Gustavvinho, military pop actually evening out though, but War Wagons still stronger than Halbs and Skirms. Oh, we'll get to see Skirms against War Wagons now. See, they're quite efficient here. I mean, I need to 3-shot them, but this is 11 skirms, 3 or 4-shotting a War Wagon here. There is some Pierce armor, of course, on the War Wagons, but skirms still dealing cost efficiently here with wood food unit against the wood gold unit here. And another castle. I think that's the 6th castle for Gustavvinho here or something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 6th castle. And more trebs will be coming out maybe. The push just, you don't stop this with Byzantines. Yeah, skirm's good idea, but you just need so many more of them to deal with this chunk of War Wagons. Not even elite yet. It's on the way though. Yeah, pretty slow research, elite War Wagon, but judging from the push here, more production capabilities will go down, skirms will be tougher to make for the long run, and another in-your-face castle over here to take out 1 TC and gold access here. And with this gold lost, I don't think Lowerty has a gold access anywhere. Actually trying for this side, but Gustavvinho is already here as well, and I think we'll see another castle drop or something over here if he recognizes this and gets enough stone here. Watchtowers going up for Lowerty, going to at least make it a little bit more awkward for Gustavvinho here to drop a castle, but the stone count now justifies one. Just drop a castle here or something and you deal with towers, TC and everything. And meanwhile, war wagons and traps doing work over here. Military numbers pretty similar. Gustavvinho with a ridiculous eco to back everything though, and look at Lowerty's eco in comparison here. It's not nearly as good. 50 villagers down, no water control. And it is guard tower low, so that's dealing more damage along the way. I'm going to get some villager kills here, a little bit of payback, but with 6 castle on the field, 3 trebs pushing, and some war wagons numbers chasing here. Gustavvinho's lost some villagers, but I think he's been deleting some or something, or maybe just lost these over here and doesn't really bother replenishing them because the overall eco still looks good. This castle will go up, castle number 7 for Gustavvinho, and we'll deal with the guard tower here easily, although 1 or 2 villagers will be sacrificed in the process. Still some elite war wagons at work here, and see the skirms trying their best, but still takes them a while to take out the war wagons here. Now even some night raids on the farm ecos here. Let's toggle Lowerty's point of view now for a moment. Food and gold in the bank. I'm not sure what that's going to do here now, though. Could go into camels against the knights and actually against the war wagons as well. But they would still be cast age camels. You'd need heavy camel and some significant upgrades to withstand this kind of push. But in the end, 125 villagers to 46 for Gustavvinho and 100 more population. Definitely the game winner for Gustavvinho here. Taking water early on, and Byzantines do have fast-firing fairy galleys, so they have to challenge water earlier, I believe. Like from the feudal age onwards, and there was 1 dock against 2 from the very beginning, so that's a tough fight for Byzantines to take. And then as Castle Age kicks in, Koreans would have war wagons, and you'd have a harder time challenging water. Well, that's the first game. Would be 1-0 for Gustavvinho here. 226 to 111 KD here, pretty strong and many buildings raised. Overall eco lead, overall villager high. And then the uptimes, faster cast age for Lowerty, but still missing that fish eco is hurtful for the early stages of Nomad.